Hi, my name is Billy Bennett, and I am a musician and recording engineer, and now a computer programmer. And today I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and how my love of music led me to create a tool that allows others to share in my obsession for music and lowers the bar for entry into musical performance. So, as a kid, I grew up in the 80s, the youngest of four. My mom played gospel hymns on the family piano, and as each of my older siblings turned 16, they took over driving me to school. So, I got heavy doses of hair metal and show tunes and 90s grunge and R&B. So, music was always a part of my life, and I have spent the last 15 years recording bands and writing my own music and touring internationally and teaching students about sound. When I came to ITP, the tools of computer programming were revealed to me in such a way that it seemed like the only limit to what I could make was my imagination. So I began to ask myself the big questions. Where were the flying cars? Where were the instant dinners? Where was a magic wand that I can play music with? Well, I can say today that I have an answer to one of those questions. So let's take a look at the journey of how I got there. So my first semester, my classmate Louise and I designed a magic wand that could sense its position using an accelerometer and paint corresponding drops of blood onto a virtual screen. It even had a wind sensor in the end, so if you blew into the end, it would splatter blood everywhere. It was a Halloween theme that semester, in case you're wondering. And I spent hours and hours on the code. You know, my soldering skills came in handy from my studio days, and I was obsessed with the challenge. You know, it reminded me of learning to play the guitar in high school, fumbling around with Beatles and Grateful Dead songs. The next semester, I revisited this device, but this time I pulled it out of the cardboard mailing tube and added an off-the-shelf wireless MIDI device. And before I knew it, with a semester's worth of work under my belt, I had a wand that could sweep through a musical scale as you swept it side to side. But some people would play with this device and after a few seconds hand it back and walk away. And I knew the design was solid. I mean, it worked, but it just wasn't as engaging as I would like. So I asked myself what was missing. For the next iteration, I took it this winter and set it up to be used as a conductor would use the wand to control the rhythm of a musical piece. I took this to the Liberty Science Center in New Jersey, and after some coaching and some tweaking with the code, people really seemed to respond. So it was clear that the design was more engaging, and I learned some important lessons from this research. When making a musical device, expressivity is important. The user needs to be given clear control over certain outcomes, like for instance with music, the rhythm, the melody, or the volume. The device also needs to be responsive. Does it react fast enough to give useful feedback? And it also needs to be easy to understand. I want to make it easier for people to enjoy playing music, especially if they don't necessarily have a skill at an instrument. So I wanted to take this further, but I wanted to control actually which notes you could play. Thus far, we had only been controlling rhythm. The notes had been locked, so I started to develop some simple gestures that would allow me to control specific notes. Here's the first test I did, kind of flicking in 4 directions. Now in that case, there's just a microcontroller in my hand, and you can see already that the device is musical. I start to get a rhythm with it quite easy. So I developed from that one gesture into a set of gestures, a flick, a twist motion, a strum, and then a flick and a twist. And I'll show you those now. So now the device is in the wand. And here's a strumming pattern. And then here's a combination. So as I combine the flick motion with twisting the wand, I get additional notes. So these gestures were chosen specifically to mimic, real life instruments, and also to give me monophonic instruments, which is one note at a time, polyphonic instruments, which is multiple notes at a time, like a chord, and percussive instruments as well. So with this, I could play a broad range of music. Now, there is some people that have walked this wand road before me, and I have to acknowledge them. Max Matthews made the radio baton, shown here, and also Don Buchla made a device called the Buchla Lightining. Now, the difference with this wand is, and why I think it's a move forward, is the radio baton worked with a score of music, so the notes were already determined. And the Buchla Lightining was kind of used some esoteric hardware and was a little more difficult to set up. The thing I like about the wand that I've made is you can pick the notes you want and play them in real time. And you can make this device for a little bit less than $65. It's all open source hardware. So let's look at a little bit of the fabrication. This is the first one like I showed. It's all here on a plastic piece stuck in a mailing tube. For the second iteration, I took it out of the mailing tube and added acrylic tubing. And you can see here a battery, an on-off switch, microcontroller, the MIDI controller, the MIDI transmitter rather, and the accelerometer. This is a later iteration, a little cleaner. The accelerometer is soldered onto the microcontroller now. And I also added a USB port on the end so that I could control the device without having to take it out. And this semester, a student helped me make a 3D model of the inside, and another student of mine helped me print it, which was amazing, and mailed it up to me where I'm at in quarantine. And here's what the device looks like in that latest iteration. So the next step, like many people when they learn an instrument, is you want to form a band. I wanted to form a wansamble. Unfortunately, COVID-19 had other ideas, so I was left to make the wansamble myself, kind of mimic what we could do with that. So here's a demo video of what I imagine the possibilities being. So, where to go next with this device? I imagine it could be used in performances, installations, interactive gallery settings. These motions could be used to control not just music, but any kind of interactive device. It connects via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, which is useful in many different settings. And I'd also like to use it as a teaching tool for programming and design. So thank you so much to Gabe, my thesis advisor, Aiden and Chelsea, our residents, my thesis class, the ITP class of 2020, 2019, 2021, the ITP faculty and staff, Dano, Schiffman, Louisa, Luke, Tam, everybody. It's just been great. So thank you so much.